was just wondering, why do some people find it not the greatest to take a dairy product?
Well, you know, there's a number of reasons. One is that it's not available, and two, it's not affordable. And then there's quite a number of people that have problems with the digestion of milk, the milk constituents. And so, you know, there's a couple of reasons. A few are allergic to the protein, the whey, and the protein in the milk.
Now, an allergy is a reaction between the immunoglobulins or the immune system, so you get an antibody-antigen reaction and the release of histamines. But there's a lot of people that are intolerant of milk for different reasons.
And they're intolerant to the sugar, the lactose in the milk. And so there's quite a large percentage of people around the world that have either one of these two conditions. However, even so, people all over the world still drink milk. It's just, I'm like myself, when I eat beans, I've got a problem, you know, with flatulence.
Beans, the musical fruit.
Yeah, I've got a problem with that, and that's a reaction. I'm not digesting certain hemicelluloses in the beans. But I still eat them because they're still good food, and that happens around the world. Most people are still using dairy products.
In fact, it's been shown that people who stop using dairy products will have more trouble trying to return back to it because they've lost the lactase. But people who continue to use dairy will not have any trouble with digesting the dairy. What are some of the benefits that you see in dairy? I mean, if we're going to talk about using a food, we better be able to know that it has certain benefits. What benefits do you see in this?
Well, first of all, they are, in many countries around the world, they are one of the major food groups. And so when any food is a major food group, it means they provide certain nutrients that are really essential.
Yeah, and that's what I'm asking you. What are those nutrients?
And those nutrients are, first of all, for a vegetarian especially, would be vitamin B12. And vitamin B12 is an essential vitamin. And that is found in milk, in all types of milk, skim milk, whole milk, buttermilk, yogurt.
Can't you find it in cabbage? Or couldn't you get it perhaps in your spinach? Or?
No, it is not in any plant product. It is only in animal products.
Is that a fact, or is that
It is a fact. Originally, a few years ago, they found it, and they thought they found it in spinach or some of the plant products, but it was an analog or a false B12. And if it's found in milk, it's found in a vegetable, or if it's found in a fruit, it is a contaminant of E. coli or something like that, which is going to make you sick.
Fecal material.
It is not a part of a plant food. Oh. So you have to have it and get it in eggs, and that, by the way, it's only in egg yolks. It's not in the egg white.
So how is it that total vegetarians who take no milk and no eggs, how can they get by with it? Where do they get their B12?
They cannot unless they have a supplement, which is they've got what we call a vegetarian supplement. That means the B12 bacteria grow B12 on a yeast foundation, a yeast food, and so they manufacture that, and they can fortify their foods or fortify it or put in the capsule in a supplement to B12. And that is the only way. If you don't have those available, or if you can't afford the supplement, B12 supplements, you cannot be a total vegetarian unless you're going to be eating contaminated food.
And that's probably an important reason in developing parts of the world where the supplementation or fortification in the food is not available.
So it's not a choice.
But isn't milk like a dangerous food for food poisoning and things like that?
Well, no. But there's just a few other nutrients that are also important and easy to get.
Okay, let's talk about those.
And we can do those later if you want to. But, you know, there's a lot of bad press out there against milk. And it comes from many, many years ago, before the pasteurization of milk. And milk has been stigmatized over the years as being, full of bacteria and causing all kinds of diseases. But actually, that is not true,
Yeah. So you think that the benefits outweigh any disadvantages of milk? That's what you're telling me.
By far. milk is an easy food. It's a fast food. It gives us, in America, milk and dairy products gives us about 70% of our calcium, and it gives 20% of our zinc, 20% of our riboflavin, or even more, 20% of our other vitamins and minerals. So it's really a fifth. Just 2 or 3 glasses of milk, it gives us a large percentage of our nutrients. And so if we're going to choose the vegetarian, the total vegetarian route, we've got to replace those high percentages with some other foods. And that's not always very easy.
Now, I hear a lot of discussion about the protein content of the food. We know that if you take a high-protein diet, that it produces more acid, more hydrogen ions, that the kidney has to excrete those. And it's been stated that the higher hydrogen ions cause an acid situation that requires balancing and buffering. And to buffer it, that the calcium is drawn from the bones. What do you say to that?
Look, we don't usually eat or drink one food. When scientists study these kinds of reactions, they're looking at only one food. But when we put milk or any other food with a whole meal, we've got, like for breakfast, we've got cereals, we've got fruits, we've got dried fruits, we may have other foods with this meal, and so therefore you take the total protein content, you take the total carbohydrate content of the meal, and that's what the stomach is dealing with, digestive system is dealing with, not with one food. So really that's basically a academic question.
Well, Colin Campbell, who is well known in many circles, particularly by those who would be against dairy product, he did studies in rats, and he was showing that casein, the protein casein, which is what he was using, when accompanied by a cancer-inducing toxin called aflatoxin, it seemed that the more casein he gave, then it enhanced the effect of the aflatoxin. I found that a very interesting study story because I looked at the quantities of casein he was giving, and I found that the ones that were taking a lot of his rats that were taking a lot, was it like eating about 1.5 gallons or drinking 1.5 gallons of milk a day, and the ones of his controls was like drinking about 3 glasses of milk. I'd like to come back and talk about quantities of milk that we're doing. Stay tuned, because this is we're going to come back to this quantities of milk.